A couple seconds here. Do you have any other questions, comments? You ready to go?
This will be available to watch after, right?
Yeah, so it's going to record. I'll share it with you. Stay on a couple minutes afterward, and I'll give you that whole background. I'm going to go live right now, and the first, as I introduce you, it's just going to be me, and then I will add you to the screen, and then tell you, and then you can start telling your story when I kick it over to you. And we'll just have a conversation. It'll just be fun, right? Let's share.
I'm going to look at the camera, not you.
Look at the camera. Okay. Not me. All right, you ready?
Like that. Okay, yeah.
Here we go. All right, you guys, we are here, and welcome to Cannabis Marketing Live. You just heard Mskindness and I chatting a little bit. I am so excited to have her here. She is an amazing person, and she has a lot of different things going on. So as we kick off, I know I've been gone a little while here at Cannabis Marketing Live, all puff, no fluff, but we are back every other week, the first and third Thursday, and we are celebrating that with Mskindness today. I'm going to bring her onto the screen so you can see her, and welcome, Mskindness.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you here. So
I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. You guys, Mskindness Ramirez is amazing. She is a master degree educator. She's the founder and executive director of Club Kindness Incorporated, which is a nonprofit membership organization that she created to support patients, brands, and dispensaries, and to help ensure that people have accurate and up-to-date cannabis education and information. There's a lot of confusion out there, and she is here to set us straight. And she also has Elixirs by Kindness, as well as she launched this year a new podcast called Sneaking in Silence, which she's going to talk about as well. She has lots of different platforms and things going on, and it's all centered around cannabis. So I really wanted her to come and talk to us about what she's creating and how she's doing it. So welcome, Mskindness.
Thank you so much, Kendra.
Can you start off by telling us a little bit about how you got into cannabis, how you got started, and how you got into all these different platforms and areas?
Yeah, my story is similar to so many other women now. I know that from talking with so many women. But I injured myself. I was 26 weeks pregnant. This was in 2012. And I fell down. I slipped and fell on a puddle and damaged my pelvis in such a way that I was in just severe pain immediately and for the remainder of my pregnancy. So at that point in my life, I had been living my husband and I owned a juice bar, and we were really into natural foods. And so I started to seek alternatives to the pain meds that doctors were very willing to give me. And, it's in my nature to do research. I'm a teacher. I can't tell people these are facts if I haven't done ample research. So I just started to Google literally, what can help me that's natural. And cannabis was at the top of the list. And I'm a cop's daughter, fairly conservative in a lot of my views. I came from a really conservative family. And so cannabis was not something that was acceptable in my past. I maybe hit a couple of joints in college at parties, but it was still taboo. So, I could go on and on and on about how I really came to accept my cannabis use, but it started with pain. It just literally started with pain and a sincere desire to find credible information around natural remedies for it.
And you're right. As I hear more and more women talking about cannabis and how they got started, both as using it and in the industry, it's amazing how there is a pattern in some of these stories, right? Mm-hmm. And how people are drawn to a natural way of healing and a way to just increase the quality of life.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're always trying to do as humans anyway, I think, right? We hope that every day is better than the last. And we just sometimes get caught up in the struggle, and then you start just doing things habitually instead of more mindfully, which is what I talk about a lot, and I'm sure we'll talk about. But yeah. So I made a conscious decision to find an alternative to opioids and pain pills before I even went down that path. And was fortunate enough to stumble across cannabis and find some really good, credible research, and then start tinkering around with products. And I figured out a way to manage my pain for extended periods of time. And the first time I had a real THC product, I fell all the way in love. Yeah.
Who's a cop's daughter?
Yeah. I mean, that's just to say that he's retired now, and his cannabinoid content is healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's important. Would you say led you to what led you to actually wanting to share this with others?
So once I started playing with tinctures, that was the first product I tried to create, or remedy I tried to create. And that was because my research told me that, this is the way the original medicine was administered, and here's what we took for time, basically all of history, less the last 100 years, we used cannabis. So I started with tinctures, and once I discovered how it felt, so I'll tell this fun little story that I liked. I was sitting at my desk, and I was working on some raw pop stuff, our juice bar business, and I drank this tincture in my tea. And I know now that I all the way over medicated, but it was awesome at the time. And I put the drops in, and I'm drinking my tea as I'm working. And I remember just in a moment, just looking up and going, whoo, and getting that wave. And anyone watching who understands what an edible high feels like when that wave hits you, that's what I was experiencing. And I remember thinking, this is the best feeling I've ever felt in my life. And how come other people are afraid of this? And they need to know the truth. And at this point, I had already accepted and bought into the research, and I accepted it as fact, and there's ample, research, that. And so I was just determined, like the teacher in me, the mom in me, the bossy lady in me was like, everybody needs to know this. And I'm really, really social. My name is Mskindness. I felt like it was like a calling. It was this culmination of everything I had done in my life. And I needed to like shout it from the rooftop. So I just started telling every lady I know.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And I love how you not only found it for yourself, but you mentioned the educator in you immediately went to helping others.
Yeah, I mean, I just was like, I know people who have struggled with addiction. There's
a pause on the internet.
Away from.
Sorry, you froze out there for a second. We can see you now. Can you hear us?
Am I back?
Yep.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
I'm okay. Okay. Technology.
Yeah,
I just. Wait, now I'm totally thrown off because what were we talking about?
How did you? So the question was, it's not really a question, right? Like I really admire how you went from doing all this research and finding answers for yourself to wanting to share this, and not just share this at a one-to-one level, right? You've created an organization around being able to help others. Yeah,
definitely. It started with me just chatting with my girlfriends about how these tinctures had relieved my pain and how great they were. And did you know? Like that was coming out of my mouth a lot in the beginning. Did you know? And then, I think the entrepreneur in me kicked in. We already had another business. I, was determined not to go back to teaching in the classroom at that point. I had 2 kids, and we had started to establish a lifestyle where our schedules were more flexible, and I liked that. So again, it was like this culmination. These factors came together, that being one of them. Like, if you're going to keep doing this, it needs to be legal, or as legal as possible at that point. This is 2014 now, right? So as legal as possible. And, you should need to make some money because you're working a lot on this. And that was an internal family discussion. And then we just came up with this cool spritzer that just got popular really fast.
So tell us a little bit about that, because I want to talk a little bit about the product that you've created, and then also the organization, a little bit more about Club Kindness and the mission that you have, because I think it all ties together.
It really does. It's a pathway that came here. In this industry, you have to pivot a lot because the laws are constantly changing. We get new emails about regulations every day, it feels like. And you can't be too stuck to anything. You need to be flexible. And I think that's kind of congruent with cannabis anyway. And as far as like how it works, the plant system and the beauty of all that. So you need to be flexible. And so Club Kindness originally was what I founded, my nonprofit collective to be under 215, because my intention was to be able to dispense medication, right? And make products. And so, but what we quickly turned into was this educational resource for our clients. I spent more time talking to new cannabis consumers and consulting, women 40, 45 plus about how to integrate it into their lives. Less being, on weed maps, just selling flower. Right. A lot less of that. And people began talking about how this product, this spritzer, it's called the EBK spritzer, how it worked so well, that they could spray a couple sprays under their tongue and their migraines were going away and their acute pain would go away, and they felt a little edge off that they liked because it's microserved. So it's really cool to get just like 2 milligrams and relieve pain and have a notch down, I like to call it, and feel great, right? Mm-hmm. And still be able to function as a mother and, dare I say, drive around. So that's what happened. And from there, we got smarter, we got lawyers, and we figured out how to restructure so that now Club Kindness can operate as a public benefit nonprofit and do this really service through education for individuals, consumers, our members, and the industry, because there are a lot of brands that frankly need some help with the information that's on the materials they're putting out.
Absolutely. And I know that just from my network of friends and family, I get asked so many times, right? What should I do for this? What should I take? What CBD do you recommend? How do I avoid THC? Do I want to avoid THC? There are so many questions that people have. And that's just to educate themselves so they can even feel comfortable going into a dispensary. So they can even feel comfortable understanding what they are even considering putting in their body.
Absolutely. Just being armed with how to advocate for yourself, the information you need. And oftentimes it's very basic. Now we do these 20-minute consultations that you can book online, and they never take more than 20 minutes, really. It's because they kind of already, if they found us, they've been Googling, like, learning about this, or somebody told them about this. We get a lot of referrals. And unfortunately, we get a lot of sick, really, really sick members. And so what we developed let me go back. The consultation's quick. They have these questions. They know what they want to ask. And then we have an intake form, so I'm already prepared for that dialogue. But sometimes we get these really, really sick clients. And as a result of that, we created a network of healthcare professionals that can assist us and can assist our members. So I have doctors who we call friendly doctors, who will discuss with their clients and take levels and take blood and talk with them about how these are, most in private practice. Integrative health practitioners I work with, naturopathy doctors, nurses who consult, and personal trainers, massage therapists who use CBD oil. My husband is one of them, and his whole team. So yeah, we've just turned into this whole network, and I'm watching it grow. We're actually in the middle of launching the new website, so
that's so
I wanted it to be up before today. But it's not, so,
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
I just want to say, if you guys are watching this, I can see there's quite a few people watching. If you guys are watching and you have questions, shout out. If you have comments, shout out. We can do this. We're live for a reason. So we definitely want this to be interactive for sure. Also, if you're watching, I know that the guests that I bring on, and since I'm in California, tend to be California based. So if you're outside California, we'd love to know where you're coming from as well, because the laws in every state are different in the U.S. And so it's important for us to better understand where people are coming from to better help provide information and clarity and those things that are so important to all of us in this very muddled, messy space right now still.
Yes. I was going to say, I don't do this at all. It's not coming from my brain. I write original content, but the data that I provide, it's just me being a teacher. So speaking of multi-states, if someone calls me from another state, I'm not an expert, on Iowa, but I can quickly start to look some things up and see who's in my network and get them what they need. So one of the things that I've done in the space is really go to a lot of events and be in a lot of places and surround myself with other men and women in cannabis, especially women in cannabis, to have that network. And so I just take the content and turn it into curriculum that's easy for people to digest. That's what a teacher does. We have the textbook. We have all the answers in the textbook. But how do you teach it to that room full of students?
Absolutely.
And that takes a certain skill.
Absolutely. No, I'm actually teaching this month at a university, and I just had my marketing management class last night that I taught for 4 hours. So I'm right there with you. How do you make people understand? Exactly. How do you take this information that's so cloudy and crazy, and there's so much coming at you from all different ways, and make it manageable? And, I really try and focus on clarity, right? To the clarity to take people and to the next step. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we are frankly talking to, an American population that I think the last stat was that reads at like an 8th grade level. So I consider that as an educator, as a responsible educator, that I'm teaching to the middle of my class, the student in the middle. And so all my teachers out there, like, they know teacher education. We talk a lot about that. Like, who do you teach to in your classroom? Because you've got this range of student understanding. You teach to the middle. And so with that being said, I think simplicity is a key factor in how we disseminate information.
Absolutely. We just had the larger we. Angel Hernandez is here, and she has some great questions. I'm gonna pull.
Oh, that's a he.
I'm sorry. He has great questions. Sorry. I know several angels who are female too. Sorry about that, Angel. Here, I'm just gonna pull his question onto the screen here, and he's asking, why have so many women excelled in the cannabis industry? Do you have thoughts on that?
That's a great question, Angel. And I would say that a lot of people would disagree and say that unfortunately we haven't. We are about 26%, right, Kendra? Is that where we are right now?
That's what I've heard, yeah. Sadly, it keeps going down, too.
I think it's inching down. So I think we were at like 37 at some point, which was nationally celebrated. And then we saw a lot of media around that, which you may have seen, Angel, and like Forbes and because we're friends, I share a lot of information as well. But it's us functioning like minorities do, like hyping ourselves all the time, hyping each other, because that's what we need to do to get the attention we deserve. But we're actually, inching down at about 26% now, which isn't bad. I mean, that's 26% like women own CEO. That's not just in the space. There are lots of women working in the space, working for us and with us. But I'd like to see that closer to like 40.
It felt good at 37, but it is interesting. Right. Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting that his perception is that there are a lot of us. So I kind of like that. That means we're making noise. We're looking bigger than we might be. Yeah. We're reaching people.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think that I've seen more from my own experience. I've seen more women-focused networking groups and organizations in cannabis than I have coming from, I'm from marketing, so marketing's mostly not all women, but it has a lot of women in it. But, from IT and some of the other industries I've worked with, it's a lot more rare, I think, to have women-owned organizations and such a focus on women networking and building that. Building businesses and networking more so, I think, in cannabis than other industries.
I know what you mean, because we've been in some of those same circles, you and I. And I think, I'm going to get a little bit meta here. I really feel a connection to the plant. Mm-hmm. So it being feminine, and providing really like everything we need, literally, from food source to, external supplies and infrastructure and paper and clothing and, vital cannabinoids that our system requires. It's a woman. That's the way I see it. So I think that has in some way had some sort of gravitational pull. Mm-hmm. And then within that we see, metaphorically speaking, gravitational pull, right? But in that we see each other, we automatically connect in that, and then we start to build communities, in defense of the plant that needs to be defended right now.
Right.
So I don't know. I can get really stony on that stuff. So
I would also go and look at it just looking, I mean, I mentioned I was teaching a marketing management class last night, right? And we were talking about demographics and those kinds of things. And, it's easy, not necessarily from the business owner perspective, but when you start to look at women typically are the ones in charge, and I'm stereotyping here, so
of the home, and they decide how the money gets spent, and
wellness too.
Yes.
So when you take that and combine that natural ability, once again stereotyping, that natural ability or role of providing the wellness and spending the money and focusing on that, I think that it's not actually that much more of a leap to decide to create your own company. Now, staying with it is a whole other beast, but
and being able to sustain the capital and find the funding,
like
and
that's
take
a whole
it to the level
other thing. Like, I'm not diminishing that at all, because it's so much work. But I think that it's it all ties together back to what you were talking about, the plan as well.
Absolutely. And I think, just creatively, it's just in us to build stuff, to just make stuff work, right? Whatever. I mean, no matter the socioeconomic level, we know those mothers who can just make a dish with what's in the fridge.
Right.
So I think that resourcefulness and this is a plant that we need to protect. And I think only women can do that.
Angel had a great follow-up question as well, saying, is profit or capital in their cannabis business at the risk of seizure from the feds?
Another great question. It's always at the risk of seizure from the feds because it's still Schedule 1. That being said, we have enough legislation in place, which our current administration is upholding, that removes funding from the DEA from prosecuting those who are operating legally in states that have legalized. So that makes us feel fairly safe if we're doing it right. Absolutely. Within the state, there's all kinds of stuff going on because of regulation. So where we're seeing these raids and these shutdowns, those are local departments and police departments and so forth, law enforcement agencies shutting down the illegally operating dispensaries and so forth. And that's because we now have licensed dispensaries, and rightfully so. They're paying their taxes and they're losing customers to those who are operating illegally and able to charge less. So those crackdowns are not the feds.
And we know people who have, and we know people who have had their homes raided and their businesses raided, absolutely. But I think that, to your point, I think it's, one, decreasing in number, but two, it's city, county, and local. And, it's city, county, and state specific. So if you're outside of California, or if you're in California and you're in a county and you're operating illegally, or if you're in a county that doesn't, or city region that doesn't
have local ordinances.
Exactly. Then there's an increased likelihood. So I think there's varying levels of risk, depending on what you're doing and how you're going about it and where you are.
Absolutely. There's varying levels of risk depending on what part of the plant you're touching, if you're touching it at all. I mean, ancillary businesses, even though they're not touching the plant, and by ancillary, I mean those businesses that are not directly involved with touching cannabis, that maybe make, other products to support, are still getting shut down by their credit card processors and still getting shut down on Instagram for no reason because of the word cannabis or some flag, or generally the consensus is that somebody reported us, for whatever reason. So there's just a lot to be retaught because of all of the propaganda and miseducation that occurred for the last, 80 to 100 years. Absolutely. So we have to reset that. And I think for me as an educator and as a human being, there is never an opportunity that comes up in my life when I feel like I can help someone learn something, or I have some information that might be able to help them shift and grow. I'm going to do it. And that's not the right personality for everybody, but so far I've done okay, and people like me, I think, so.
I like you, but then I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah, see, and we immediately, when we met, it was just like, yes. I can
Who are you? I love you.
Yeah.
Tell me what you know, because I'll tell you what I know.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we get better, but,
Absolutely.
In the midst of what's going on right now, it's challenging.
Yeah. No kidding. But that's where it's been more important, I think, too.
Yeah.
One of the things that when we were talking about, doing the show and having you on, I could talk to you about a million different topics, but one of the things that I wanted to really have you focus on, because you guys, if you're watching this, I was in a session and Mskindness went up and did a meditation. She did a 5-minute meditation, and the entire room, basically every single person in this over 100 people in this room, basically everyone had chills. And by the time she was done with this meditation session, everyone had so much energy, and it was truly a very healing energy and a motivational and just inspiring. Like, what she was able to do with 5 minutes of near silence was phenomenal. So I hope you don't mind, but I do wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, because having that mindfulness,
I get a little tear in my eye right now. I feel like I remember that session. It was just as powerful for me. So yeah.
How do you incorporate mindfulness into your business? And then how do you help others do the same?
So mindfulness is,
it's a big question, right?
We have to first consider, like, what is it? And it is that ability to be absolutely aware of and present in and during each moment you are experiencing. And that means being comfortable with all of the senses as they come to you. And you have to learn how to manage that process. And those who suffer with anxiety or depression or any other type of mental stressors that disable them from being able to focus in on that, there are all kinds of exercises you can do to help assist. So I don't know, I started practicing Buddhism when I was 19 years old. And I just was drawn to I'm a high energy person. So let me put that out there. I'm super high energy. I'm go, go, go. I'm very animated. I'm super social. I am a natural extrovert. I love being out around people, taking that energy in, and then going home, sleeping for 8-9 hours and getting back out and doing it again. So I love that. But with that comes a lot of stress, because I'm also an empath. So I'm taking all that in. And if you don't find ways to channel it or properly, process it, then all is for naught, because those interactions you're not even mindful during. So long story short, I, developed a really personal practice of meditation on my own. I've sat with many gurus over the last 20 years, taken a lot of classes, and I practice regularly at my temple near my home. And when I started using cannabis, it took my practice to the next level. It really allowed me to clear, like, a lot of the cobwebs that I'd been experiencing. And I think that is highly attributed to my daily intake of CBD. But certainly I felt more grounded in my practice, and I got comfortable leading things like that, because I would have never done that, 4 or 5 years ago. Never. It was very personal. It was my practice. I didn't talk about it. If you wanted to know something about Buddhism, you could ask me. I didn't really talk about, you should do meditation and this is why. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until cannabis woke me up. So that day doing that, I was sharing that. Like, I was sharing that intention, and I was 100% clear on it. And I try to do that every day. The reason why I developed the podcast, Sneaking in Silence, is because that's what I do. I find ways to sneak in silence. And that means things like when you're cutting your vegetables, be there in that moment and experience what it feels like to push that knife down through the fruit. Those moments that you can sneak in silence are highly impactful. And then as you practice that more and more throughout the day, then mindfulness becomes not what you do, but who you are. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered the question, but
it does. I always find it so fascinating, because I have this natural resistance to meditation. You said that, and you were fine. Yeah. It was amazing. It was absolutely exhilarating.
We also did some humming. So that is a vibration thing, right? And so everybody was able to connect on that same tone. And that is what was so dope, to be honest. Like, that's what brought everybody together. That's what energized everyone and caused that sort of high that naturally occurred without, this was a non-consumption event. So that was the meditation. Yeah. For me, it's just, it's helped me to manage all the chaos. I have 2 children, My husband has his own business. I also help him manage his business. We've now taken on staff actually with Club Kindness. So I have now people to manage as well and lead. Actually, let me change that. And so I want to be my best all the time. And my name is Ms. Kindness, and that's my name from birth. And so I'm very attached to representing that well. That's one of the things I'm attached to.
That's so amazing. It's amazing that you've been able to really take what you've learned and practiced for yourself and been able to apply it to your day-to-day, share it with others. And
I got lucky.
And really, well, but it's more than that too, right? There's a lot of people can do it and just keep it to themselves. It's part of all of what makes you you, is being able to take it and then not just do that, but also you've created a podcast around it. So I know you just touched on it a little bit. Do you mind talking a little bit about the podcast and how you see because you have so many different platforms and things that you're doing. I want to talk to people about how you can manage all of this and still keep it all works together. All the pieces that you do all fit together.
Yeah,
so
they do.
So let's start with the podcast.
The podcast I love. It was just like an outlet because I started getting asked to do more speaking and I started meeting a bunch of amazing people. And I was like, I'm teaching mindfulness. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk to everybody else about how they're maintaining their chaos, right? How are they keeping it together? Because we know some amazing people in this space. So it started with me just calling on my friends. Do you want to come on the show? Do you want to smoke with me? And let's talk about mindfulness. Every show is themed after, or I'll say it's inspired by the guest. So the theme is inspired by the guest. For example, I had Whitney Beatty on of the Apothecary Case, and she is a freaking getter. Okay, she's a boss. Yes, single mom, like just killing it right now. She's in Egypt, and I'm living vicariously through her Facebook journey.
I am too.
Yeah.
I'm like, Instagram, where's Whitney today?
Exactly. But I had her on, and her mindfulness technique that we taught, and I do a little where I teach about it, what it is, and we do a minute on air and silent meditation actually on the podcast. And then we go into the dialogue, and the dialogue is about, of course, the individual, their lives and their business, but we always weave back in that theme, and hers was silent meditation. Because when you go like that, you have to find a way to recenter. And I ask the guest, and they'll tell me. I'll ask them, how do you maintain mindfulness? And some people go, oh, I don't even know. So I give them time. I go, well, you have to think about it. And as they're thinking about it, they're realizing how they've been successful, how they've woken up every morning and still continue to kill it without going crazy. Because there is a way to maintain mindfulness. And then, that's it. And then I do a little recap after the show. It's really cool. How do I do it? I have amazing friends. I have an amazing network. The producer of that show is a friend of mine who I met when I used to own the Alchemy Lounge. And he's just been, honestly, he's done so much for me on love. Really.
It's amazing.
And he does all the production, the editing for the show. I go to his studio and we knock it out. So it's fun. And I get to celebrate my friends. And now more people are coming to me. I did a last podcast, which hasn't been uploaded yet, is with Manny, the drummer. And he's not in the cannabis industry. He's a rock drummer. And he actually said after the interview, he's like, I'm never, ever going to smoke during an interview again. Because even during the experience, they elevate with me and they feel that. And then they get a little nervous about how are they speaking. But in doing so, they become more mindful. So
absolutely.
It's cool. It's called Sneaking in Silence. And we're everywhere on Stitcher and iTunes and SoundCloud. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you guys haven't checked it out, you should. Lily just popped in to say hello. Hey, Lily.
Hi, Lily.
So so you have your podcast about mindfulness.
That's my pet project.
That's your pet project, right? That's your thing to help, but it's a release there too, right? And then you have your focus on Club Kindness, which is educating people and helping people understand how to use cannabis and involve it in their life even more, right? Make it a center of their life and do it with education and empowered and ready to figure out how to make their life a better place.
Yes.
And then you have Elixirs by Kindness, which are also amazing products that you've created and you sell and you share, and you sell it to people. Am I missing anything in that overview of what you have going on?
That's it. So Club Kindness is the big baby, right? That's the hub of why we do what we do. It's nonprofit, so it's not it's the huge money maker, to be honest, but it's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And from that from that, all of these other things have been born. And Elixirs by Kindness is just the now finalized end result of that very first tincture in 2013. That's what it is, right? I figured out via getting educated and being in the space and surrounding myself with brilliant doctors and scientists and finding manufacturers what kind of product I wanted to create. In 2018, we decided to pivot to all CBD, mm-hmm. just to be compliant and be able to provide at least that baseline of medication, that vitamins, I'll say, that I believe everyone needs. So, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, and everyone I know that uses it raves about it. Tony Ford, when I had lunch with her, was going on and on about it.
Yeah, she's like, you changed my life, girl. I love that. No, because, I could go on and on. We could do a CBD 101, but cannabidiol is something that, frankly, we all can benefit from. Mm-hmm. We're all walking around cannabinoid deficient. Full spectrum cannabinoids are best if you want to do CBD. But yes, that's it in a nutshell. We need it. And so when we get people taking it on a regular basis and then they're supported by that membership network and those support services of Club Kindness, they understand how to take it, titrating dose, and they feel comfortable. They can check in with us, call us, email us. We have a guaranteed response of 4 hours. So they, after 3-4 weeks, realize, oh my goodness, I haven't felt this good, and thank you. And so, but they have to be coached through that. I talk to a lot of people that will call me and say, I took CBD, but it didn't work. And I'll say, okay, well, how long did you take it? Well, I just took it one time. It didn't work. So, we just go with basics. Listen, can think of it like vitamin C, Dr. Michelle Ross, I'm going to give her a plug. She wrote a book called Vitamin Weed. And I love that because I'm telling everybody, consider it like your CBD. Consider it like your vitamin C. You need it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lily, I think, is commenting on, she was responding to Angel about his question about female executives. We actually talked a little bit about that, Lily, but yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your insights too, because Lily's coming from Northern California and has a whole other perspective.
I wonder, is she a cultivator?
Lily is a very, very talented designer, and she does a lot of branding. She is awesome. Nice. She'll be in Vegas. Lily, are you in Vegas? You were trying to decide last I talked to you. And then Missy is here in Texas, and she is waiting with bated breath to work with you, Miss Kindness.
Hi, Missy. I'm ready for that. I am just swamped here in California trying to figure this space out before we come to other states, but I think we're ready to do that.
Very exciting. Yeah. Hopefully that's what you wanted to hear, Missy. She sent me a message earlier asking what time because she wanted to make sure she could catch you.
I love that. I love that.
See you. Love it.
Space people and I feel like I was born to do this. So that's why Club Kindness will always be the thing that I really focus my attention on because, I want it to be a club of kindness because kindness matters. But Elixirs by Kindness has really allowed me to suggest a product that I know is quality, and also feel really good about contributing to the space in a way that's not harmful, but it's also making an income. So,
but I also think that's really important because I know that I get asked all the time what CBD should people take, and sometimes. And I'll start going through stuff and they're like, well, I'm at Whole Foods. Can I just buy what's here?
Yeah. I'll say a couple things. You just want to know.
Do that. Maybe don't call me.
I'm at Whole Foods. I'm just going to get it. Yeah. I love that. They wanted to hear themselves talk. But no, I just say a couple things. Like, you want to look at the ingredients, right? Understand what's in it. Consider the carrier oil, something with a high bioavailability, something that also has other benefits. Like, I like MCT oil. We use MCT oil. Consider where your CBD is sourced from. The company should know that. Ask them. And you should be able to have lab results. And, that's it. I'd say you want U.S. grown hemp. You want U.S. grown CBD. You want lab results, and you want to look at the ingredients on the bottle. Yeah. And we can start there. And you should do that with every single thing you put into your body anyway.
Totally agree. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I wanted to just point out something because I know, you have an education background. I have my MBA, and one of the things that I think is really interesting is that, usually like, okay, I've got my business plan, I've got my goals, this is what I'm going to do. And absolutely, there is value in all of that. But I think that there's something that I've seen in the cannabis industry that I've seen more than in other industries as well, is that there's also opportunities that come up that allow for additions to what you're already planning on, or that require slight pivots to what you initially went into. And I think it's really critical to be ready and to be open to those, because you never know what's going to come up. And
absolutely.
I wanted, if you can talk a little bit about your experience with that as well, because I think it's actually really important, and you've done an amazing job of taking advantage of those as you see them and making it work within your organization and circle.
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's absolutely what I've done. We've had to pivot for so many reasons. A lot of people think you're going to get into this business and you're just going to get rich right away. Mm-hmm. And unless you already come in with money, then you just make more because you quickly get to that goal. But we have had to bootstrap. We had another business. And so I couldn't take a bunch of money and put it into starting Elixirs by Kindness or Club Kindness as it was, as a collective. So I just always was looking for, how can I keep pursuing my goals and my dream and be comfortable with what comes to you, because it's supposed to be teaching you something. So I absolutely had to pivot in that. We started, as 215 collective model. I quickly discovered that really what I was doing was a service. So I started taking membership fees for that continued support service. That then became something that people started talking about. I listened and then built another program to support them. And that just started to happen over the last couple of years. Elixirs by Kindness was always there. I continued to make products, but then via my access to other professionals in the space, I was able to secure manufacturing and really get formulation down. And people, friends, support, and me not being afraid to ask for what I want. Mm-hmm. So there is that. Like, I need your help with this, or can you do this, or do you know anyone who? Because all they can tell you is no, and currently you don't have that. Right. So you have nothing to lose by asking. And I've just always been that way.
It's always amazing to me. Like, I'm going to keep struggling, or I can ask people and admit that I might not know 100%.
That's just ego.
Yeah.
That's just ego. We're fearful, so we're all human, but I'm pretty good at that. In fact, I'm the baby in my family by 14 years from the next step, and then they go up from there. Or 13. So I've been kind of spoiled, but fortunate in that, like, they also required me to do hard work. I had to have a job at 16 and like pay for my own gas and stuff. And those responsibilities were important. Mm-hmm. So I had a nice blend of being able to not be afraid to ask for what I want. Like going to my sister's house and, when I was 25 and being like, I need this.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I kind of pride myself on that. And so it's enabled me to quickly pivot, wisely pivot, to preempt some things that have led to us being more successful.
Absolutely.
And then people have come to me, like my connections in the space, they've come to me and said, like, can you just check this over because I want to make sure it's right? And then it turned into a program of Club Kindness because I was inspired by the work.
Which is amazing. And it's, being able to be open to those types of things and listening, to your point, because it's easy to say, oh yeah, that looks great. Or, oh, here, you might want to do this, this, and this, and not really hear what's in between, where the opportunity
might be. That's mindfulness. That's it.
Full circle.
I just weave that back in there.
Full circle. Well done. And Lily just added, plus this industry is just so helpful too, that in a lot, in a lot of ways that when you ask for help, you will actually find people who are willing to give it.
It's the plan. Yeah,
absolutely. And Jessa, hey Jessa, great to see you again. Jessa's here, and she wanted to know, her question is, do you have any thoughts on selling cannabis accessories online on your main brand page, or would you keep them separate or link to them from a separate site to sell?
So I have accessories on our website. We do a couple of high-end accessories and a couple of fun shirts that say some cool stuff. They're just in a separate group. They're in a separate category. They support what we're promoting. And so I think when we have fears around, should I separate this, then that's something that we need to work out. We need to clarify, like, our commitment to this whole plan. But that's also just a business thing. So if brand-wise, it makes more sense for you to have a separate accessory page and really push that in a different way via your marketing and media and who you're trying to reach. If the clientele's different, then I might separate them. But I wouldn't have any fear about tying them together if it makes sense and they fit. I don't think it's going to lessen the credibility of the first brand, if that's the question.
Absolutely. As long as they integrate together. And Lily just mentioned that for tax purposes, it makes sense to have a separate business. I think if you are a cannabis business and you're looking to sell cannabis accessories, it makes sense to tie it all together. If you are looking for, but then it might also be, there's other things that play into it, right? Whether it's tax, whether it's credit card processing, because you can get credit card processing for T-shirts and stuff like that, but not necessarily, for cannabis products themselves. So that might be another consideration. And she's just saying no merchant shutdowns or anything. I think that goes back to how it all ties together from your business perspective.
Yeah. An entity formation is a whole different thing. I mean, than branding, really, because what the end user sees, they have no idea what entities I have formed behind Club Kindness and Elixirs by Kindness, and they just see a brand.
Yeah. So
how it funnels through is up to us on the back end.
Exactly. And if you're worried about merchant shutdowns or anything along those lines, then I would step back and look at what it is, what the products are, how do they relate, are they specifically, are we talking T-shirts and hats, or are we talking bongs and, pens and pipes and whatever else? Like, what does that look like? And then that's all back end stuff that's going to be up to you as to how you link them. And it could even be, to your point, here's our sister site and here's where you can find these things. It could be seamless, right? It could go straight to another website that looks similar.
So that the consumer doesn't feel like they left, but you can also access it from the other side.
Yeah. But that's all business stuff. Misty had one more comment. There's kind of a lot here. So it's so great to see you guys here. I love interaction. I was so bummed to have to cut this down to every other week. Okay. So Misty's saying that she's so into the educational aspect of the industry. While cannabis is still illegal here in Texas, CBD is not. But people are still clutching their pearls here. I love that saying. What advice can you offer on becoming certified as a cannabis CBD coach or consultant? She may need to have that one-on-one consult.
Yeah, there are lots of agencies currently doing certifications. Green Flower is very credible, so check them out. Dr. Michelle Ross has some modules that she is now offering. Check her out as well. She's the author of Vitamin Weed. And there are some other institutes that I've seen, certifying institutes, like there's Cannabis Nurses Organization. But to be frank, they're not WASC accredited. They're not, like that accreditation is regular university. So the process you're going through to get the certification is hopefully taught and created and developed by an intelligent person who's done their research and written correct curriculum well. But certification is them saying you're certified. And so you want that person or that agency. Am I doing a good job, Kendra? I'm trying to make
you
sure
are.
that
I'm just laughing at the WASC accreditation. I can't believe you pulled that out.
I'm a teacher.
I know. And you just validated that you are. You were no joke because you knew about a WASC accreditation.
Basically, there's no agency that regulates cannabis educational institutions. So whatever certification you're getting is from a private entity that has developed a curriculum that you can go through and you can learn a lot from. And the start at Green Flower, because they've been doing this a really long time. They bring on highly trained professionals, and they've now just developed a certification program.
Absolutely. And as they start to grow, right, as this continues to become a thing, eventually it'll be regulated and that kind of stuff. But it's one of those things where it's better to go through the process and get educated now, and then you can evolve with it versus trying to, just wait and then jump forward, because who knows how long that's going to take for that to happen.
For sure.
And it sounds like you're really interested in it now. So Green Flower, that's what we just
learned.
Yeah,
Missy's doing some cool stuff in Texas. She works in health services and healthcare, and she is very passionate about CBD. And so she's pushing the envelope over there.
Clearly, that's so awesome. And just growing up in Northern California and a little, in Santa Cruz up in north, there's not a lot of sayings like clutching your pearls, and it's just such a good, I love it every time I hear it or anything along those lines.
I'm going to say that now. I'm going to be like, you had me clutching my pearls.
Right? Isn't it just going to be so, I'm going to figure out how to work that into my next meeting. On
this feed. Somebody put that hashtag up there so we don't forget.
Exactly. I love it. You guys are awesome with your questions, so feel free to keep jumping in. We're going to start over the next few minutes. I've got a few more questions for Mskindness, and then we're going to start wrapping up. So get your questions in now. I'm going to commit her to this, but we'll go back through, and any comments and questions that are asked later, we'll go back and answer them as well if you don't feel like you got the gist in our video session here.
For sure.
So we will keep going, and then so I think that we've covered all of the different pieces, all the main things that we had wanted to talk about today, which is awesome. Yay us, because I was worried that we'd get a little off track because I just love talking to you so much.
Yeah, sneaking in silence has really helped me with that, because you have to moderate. And we smoke on my show. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to just get into this long conversation, right? So I've learned how to kind of come back and say, okay, so I noticed she said that, so let's go here with that. So that helped me too today, learning to be a moderator like you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect. So you mentioned, there's one more area that I wanted to touch on a little bit more, and that's microserving cannabis. So you mentioned it in the very, very beginning. And you definitely, we were talking about before we started about how microserving cannabis changed your life and how it can help empower and change other people's lives. So can you just touch on that a little bit before we wrap up?
Yeah. So I'm really, really glad you asked this question, because this is what I teach every single person I talk to every single day. If you catch me in the grocery store and you're holding your back, I'm going to talk to you about cannabis. And I'm going to tell you that it's not something you have to be afraid of. Microdosing is another term that's commonly used. I like serving better, because it's what you're doing to yourself, right? You're serving yourself. And so it just means taking it in small, regular doses versus large doses. And that can be CBD or THC. That means, 1 to 5 milligrams. And if you're medicating for pain, you can do that throughout the day for sustained pain relief. If you're looking for a nice little edge off and you want a little bit more THC, you can do, 5-8 milligrams and still be highly functioning and feel that relief. But the best way to consume it as medicine for healing is in small, regular doses. And that's what we've kind of started calling microserving. And that's how our spray is administered. That's how we recommend using any edibles, again, whether they be CBD or THC. You can go high amounts depending on what you're trying to treat. Don't get me wrong. If we're dealing with cancer and we're talking about an RSO, then we're talking about a very high milligram dose, and that's got its applications, absolutely. But just taking cannabis in small, regular doses every day can improve your entire endocrine system, your whole ecosystem, everything from mental, spiritual, physical. Will just grow and evolve. I mean, I promise you that. It's crazy, right? I'm like, cannabis is for everyone. It sounds crazy, but it's the truth.
No, it's true. I love it. Personally, I do CBD every day with trace amounts of THC in it. And then last time I tried, I thought it was microserving, but it was 10 milligrams THC. And apparently it knew exactly what I needed because I was like, oh, yay, it'll give me a bunch of energy so I can finish my stuff and focus on my creativity and focus. I fell asleep for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Which is what I needed. It's 100% what I needed. But I was like, oh. All right. Well, I felt way better afterward.
Yeah. But afterwards, right? Exactly. That's what's so wonderful about it. It's not like over drinking, right? Exactly. You wake up and you're just like, oh, I'm fine. I'm great. In fact, I feel better. I don't have that pain anymore or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Missy had one more question. She was asking if we will be in Vegas for the Women of Cannabis conference.
Yes, we will. I think, Kendra, can you put up some info like the Women Wednesday and so people can see that? Because I think I'm doing a little meditation spot there as well.
Woohoo. Yay. Again. Yeah. I will share that. There's a couple different women's conferences happening. So there was one, I think, on
Women's
Tuesday. I'm doing the one on Wednesday, and I think that's the one you're talking about as well. And then I'll be in Vegas till Friday too.
Yeah, me too. And then there's the Entrepreneur Lounge going on with DCN, so check them out, Missy. There's all kinds of stuff. So if you're coming there,
and
you'll find us. You'll see us.
Oh, absolutely. And I saw that Adelia posted that the DCN they're full, so they're waitlisting now. But get on the list.
Hurry up and get on it.
Yeah. And Lily's now just trying to decide if she's really going to come or not, because earlier she said she wasn't. Do it, Lily.
Now you want to come, huh? Yeah.
Do it, Lily. Okay, speed round.
This was so fun.
Ready to go?
Let's go, speed round.
I'm so excited. All right, speed round. I've got 3 questions for your speed round, so I can ask more in there. Okay, ready? First of all, indica, sativa, hybrid.
Sativa.
Okay.
Unless it's nighttime.
All right. What is your favorite networking event or conference that you've been to in cannabis?
CWES, hands down. Cannabis Women's Empowerment Summit, which I'm going to just put out there that Simone and I have a project that we're working on that's about education that I'm really excited about. Yeah.
Yay! Okay, that's my favorite too. But that's also where I met you, so... Oh.
Yes.
What's your favorite cannabis product?
Ooh.
Some people have had to answer this by narrowing it down to edible, tonic, and then...
I was going to say that. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so vape, definitely hot knife CBD. Tastes amazing. The edge down that you get without the head high, but that feeling of freedom and happiness is just awesome. So that's hot knife, vape. And I don't vape a lot, so that's a strong recommendation there. The edibles, I love Bebo's candies. They're microserved. 5 milligrams sativa. You're like, woohoo, happy without being super stony.
Unless you accidentally take 2 and it makes you pass out.
Yeah, there's that. But that might be intentional. And flour, I wouldn't say strain. I'm a Girl Scout cookie all day. GSC. I know it's not Girl Scout cookie anymore. We don't even know what that means anyway, right? And I love a good OG for evening wind down with 1 glass of wine. That's what gets you going when the kids are already in bed.
Love it. All right. Let me put up the screen. Last thing, Miss Kindness, can you tell people where they can find you? I have 2 Instagram accounts listed, Elixirs by Kindness, Club Kindness LA. I have your Facebook, Mskindness B, and your email. Anywhere else?
Yeah. That's it. I mean, if you just Google Ms. Kindness, to be honest, there's only one. So I like that. You can find me, but Ms. Kindness B is my Instagram. I talk to a lot of people there. I respond. I follow back. I pay attention. And I'm on Ms. Kindness on Facebook, public page. And then, clubkindness.la is our Instagram. And ckcollective.com is the website.
Okay. All right.
And you can find Elixirs by Kindness products there.
One more thing. Missy's sneaking in one last question right before we wrap up. Good job. All right.
I love it.
You're not harassing us, by the way, Missy. I love your questions. The interaction is so much more fun, especially.
That's what we want.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're doing this live. That's why we're here.
In her defense, Missy has been trying to reach me, so she's like, "I got you." Yeah.
I'm surprised there's not more questions here.
I'm ready for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Last question.
So last question is, are your CBD products available for sale and shipping?
Yes.
Perfect. Was that the answer you wanted? Was that the answer you were hoping for, Missy? Yes. I think it is. Yes. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. The next time, I'm not going to be live because we will all be in Vegas. So hopefully to see all you guys there as well. I will add the information later today about the Women's Wednesday, and if you have any questions about MJ BizCon, I'll put those links there. And Green Flowers was the certification program, so we'll put that link in there as well as the plug that Mskindness gave for the, what was the name of the book again?
Vitamin Weed, Dr. Michelle Ross.
Yep. Okay. Yes. We will add all of those links in there so you guys will have them. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Mskindness. I really appreciate it. It's always great to talk to you, and I will see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
All right.
I will see you soon. Yay.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, you guys.
Have a good day, everybody.
All right. Bye. Let me finish. Boom.